against this. But of course, I have to be against this because, because I think we are just reaching towards a heaven of androgyny. Ultimately, at the end of the day.
Label each other these days, man or toxic, or never amount to anything. I was taught that when I was a boy. I'm a coal miner's son from Nottingham. I was told my life would never amount to anything. I couldn't write till I was 5. I remember the shame of being stigmatised and put in the corner. I remember the shame of
Who the fuck is this guy? This guy couldn't write till he was 5. What a loser. Why is he up here?
From my father, who was illiterate. Told he was worthless as a boy.
Dude, that's not what we're talking. That's not. I don't think that's what this is about. I don't think this is about illiteracy. But I'll listen. I'll listen to him. I don't think it's about illiteracy, but I'll listen.
Violence was a backdrop, to our kind of working class lives, and I remember with total clarity now seeing a woman who'd been beaten up by her husband. And my dad made me look.
Heaven of androgyny, man. I invented that shit.
Son,
I invented that shit.
Don't do it like that. I can still see it now. I've got a boy who's 7. I say the same thing to him. Let's hear it for the men who are good men and shape men and build great boys. Because we don't hear anything that the good stuff men do.
Let's hear it. Let's all clap.
Tuesday, I've written extensively about the gender education gap. Working class boys like me, like my dad, the worst detainers in all of Britain. Nobody cares in the corridors.
Yeah, hold up. I feel like I'm stoned. I feel like I'm stoned. Look at the new YouTube thing. I feel like I'm high. What is going on? Stroke of genius. Oh, I see.
Power. Power tooth and nail for this being identified as an issue. Because we cannot see beyond our preconceptions of equality. How can boys suffer inequality? Therefore, look, you've got a penis, well done. You've won life's lottery. The evidence tells us the opposite. But we seem incapable or unwilling to look beyond this. My mother worked in Nottinghamshire with some of the most violent and excluded boys in the entire county. She went into their homes and wanted to know, which is expensive, and we need to be doing it again right now, why are these boys turning out like this? Why are they becoming violent, disruptive? They can't sit down.
Dude, everyone else on this panel is sued. I just want to, real quick. Let me see here. I can see it goes up around Camille Paglia when she starts talking.
Male role models, almost entirely, there was no father in these households. We see everywhere the positive effect that strong, positive men and denigrated men for the last 50 years, and I'm sick of it. It is now a lethal activity. Come back to the other things, the other questions. The question there, where does masculinity come from? Very one word, fatherhood. Fatherhood. That's where it comes from. That's what it's about. So women can't do it.
Well, there's a number of different points here, which is that my own philosophy, and this is why I'm such a dissident feminist, is that sex differences are based in biology, okay, and that the erasure of biology from the women's studies and now gender studies curriculum, okay, has produced an entire army of propagandists, of feminist thinkers whose views have been adopted by bureaucrats in governments and on campuses everywhere. Okay, so you have it's like a massive system of control that's going on, and a obstruction to free thought and free speech. I find extremely serious. Now, I'm speaking from what I regard as a transgender position. I don't think of myself as man or woman. Okay, my position sort of between the genders is the entire basis, I think, of my analysis. but they have a term like rape culture, okay, and it being repeated over and over again. A term of such utter nonsense.
Dude, she's such a
Anyone
queen.
who believes that
She's my
there's
mom.
rape culture on campus, okay, is guilty of the most hysterical kind of
She's my mom, dude.
hallucinations. It's a return by secularists, okay, to a notion of hellfire. Men have absolutely been demonized in a way that makes
She's
absolutely
the
no
only
sense,
one.
because when you go to the elite campuses in the
She's
United
just
States,
the only
you see
one.
boys who've been so processed, who are desperate to please women. And the more men try to please women, the more men follow the agenda that women have sex with, the less women want them, okay? So women everywhere are unhappy. They're so unhappy. They're unhappy. They're unhappy. Why? Okay, because there are no men anywhere near. The men have been incinerated, okay, in the area around them. Okay, Now, a big theme of my writing, and it's repeated again and again in my new book, okay, is that I find it absolutely intolerable the invisibility to bourgeois women academics, okay, of the men who are making the infrastructure around them work. All of the hardest, dirtiest, okay, most thankless work is everywhere in the world is still being done by men, okay? It's the construction projects, when there's a storm and all the electric wires are down. I don't see any women out there doing it. It's the men out there who are doing it. It's the men who are setting the windows in the great towers, who are risking it.
Yeah, I like when her and JBP do this.
Around the world, something like 92% of them are men, okay? Because it's men who take
They're putting up the power lines and they're setting up the power grids.
I saw there was a huge sewage spill coming from a broken pipe in the there were people in hazmat suits, okay, going out there and cleaning this up. Did I see any women there? No. Okay, it's men who do this, right? And how stoical men are. Okay? And men take this abuse and have been taking it for decade after decade and decade. It's time for a return to the Robert Bly type of men's movement. And the men's movement that was still quite vital in the early 90s has completely disappeared. And the women have taken over. Okay, I'm going to stop.
Oh, dude, she's the best.
I think in terms of the question, is masculinity something you find in trousers or is it a set of values? It's useful actually to compare two women. So you look at Margaret Thatcher.
She's my mom, dude. She's my fucking mom.
And you look at Hillary Clinton. Compare them as women. What people hated about Margaret Thatcher is that she was a man, and that she had balls, and that she had, she was the Iron Lady. She could both claim to masculinity and claim her own femininity if she wanted as well. Compare that to Hillary Clinton, Grandma Clinton, who's the basis of her campaign is that she's got a vagina and no set of ideas. She doesn't stand up to Donald Trump. She just says, "Oh, he's a bad guy. He's not a very nice person." Like, would Margaret Thatcher have done that, or did she absolutely obliterated his ideas and challenged them on them? I think that's is masculinity a set of values? It's something you find in trousers. It's a bit of both, but it's mostly values, and that comparison between those two women kind of proves everything.
When we think about traditional masculinity, I think it conjures up ideas of physical strength, of size, of a certain level of what could be termed aggression. I think that traditional masculinity can be easily skewed towards what toxic, quote, behaviour, but it doesn't need to be that way, of course. Traditional masculinity, it punishes certain types of boys for being the wrong kind of boy. It punishes gay men, it punishes trans men, it punishes feminine men, it punishes men who don't want to work with their hands. It punishes men who are physically smaller sometimes.
Oh my god.
Over the 20th century, the feminist movement rather wonderfully allowed women to reconceptualize femininity from a single monolith of what a woman should be and turn it into something that their femininity into something that was more personal and more meaningful and more real. And I think it's time that we men did that with masculinity, reconceptualize it away from traditional masculinity, twist it for positive things like protecting people, looking after people.
Twist it.
I worry that
Gotta twist
as
it.
a trans man, while I transition, that I will have to become something that I'm not. That I will have to take on a certain level of aggression. That I will have to give up being an emotional feeling. Sometimes I'm overly emotional, human being, and I worry about that a lot. If masculinity is taught by fathers to their sons.
You know who's a real man? Hank Green. I think this chick is a Vlogbrothers fan. What about Hank Green? He's a real man. Check me out, dude. He's got cancer. Dude, he's a real man. What's the one where he has a faux hawk?
Good morning, John. So since being diagnosed with cancer, I've noticed that people's primary concern is that
See, that's a real man.
which makes sense. And it is like apparently.
He also has irritable bowel syndrome.
Good morning, John. So since being diagnosed, some people get Hodgkin lymphoma or Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Oh. Yeah, this is a real man. These guys are real men.
Good morning. You know how there are those videos that are like so-and-so answers the web's most searched questions about them, and that's fine, but like, how do I know that I can trust so-and-so? There's a part of me that wants so-and-so's like sibling to answer the most asked questions about so-and-so. Here are the most asked questions about Hank Green, answered by his brother. What does Hank Green do? Well, I don't know. Everything? He runs Complexly, an educational media company that makes Crash Course and SciShow and Eons and Journeys to the Microcosmos and lots of other things. He also runs DFTBA.com, a merch company, and he runs the Awesome Socks Club.
Yeah, those are some real men.
Are raised as sons. Where does that leave someone like me, someone who was raised as a woman? Does that mean when I have sons, I will not be able to teach them what masculinity means to me?
So I think a lot of people identify masculinity with strength, and a lot of times strength is associated with violence. And how do you teach young boys to be strong without being violent? And the reason I ask is because I do jiu-jitsu, MMA, combat sports, and I feel more manly when I'm done with it, quite honestly. My friends ask me, what are you doing what are you doing tonight? I'm like, I'm gonna go train. And that's like it's not violent, it's sport. But I feel more manly than my friends who don't do anything like that. But if they were to be like more manly, they might try to pick a fight at a bar, you know? So like, how do you teach young men to be masculine without being violent?
I completely agree that there's absolutely nothing positive whatsoever in the rape culture narrative that promotes the idea that men are predatory, that they're a threat to women and a threat to society.
Dude, how was Camille Pauly spawned? How was she created? I feel like I love her. I love her so. It's like a fluke almost. She's like a fluke. She's like a total, just like. It's just I love her.
And the converse of that obviously is the promotion of women as victims and vulnerable. But I do think that equality can be overrated. I think when it's an equality that's premised on equal vulnerability, equal fragility, people being equally in need of protection, quite frankly, that's not an equality that's worth having. And I think there's a danger in the way that the debate's being framed at the moment, that there's this presentation that it's feminism that's emasculating men. And actually, I think sometimes it's men who are promoting this idea of vulnerability and fragility. So I'll just give one quick example. I was taking part in a debate at Cambridge on Friday night, and the guy who I was speaking against was a black man who was the president of the Cambridge Student Union Society. And he said how there is a safe space for black women students at Cambridge, and it's really great because this is very, very well populated. Lots of black women go and take part in this safe space. And then he said there's also another space for black men who are Cambridge students, and nobody goes to this safe space. And I'm thinking, great, these black men students at Cambridge, they've got balls, as people have been saying, they've got some self-respect, they're not going to hang out in this safe space. Unfortunately, the conclusion he drew from this was how problematic. Isn't it tragic that these black men students at Cambridge are not going to hang out in this safe space? And what on earth can we do to try and get them into the safe space? Well, that's not an equality that I would want to be part of. That puts us all in a safe space.
It's so refreshing to come into a room about a debate about masculinity and not feel attacked. Sorry. The other thing that I wanted to raise was this question about a trans.
That's the number one thing.
traditional masculinity, to me, could probably be summed up by one word, and it's bravery. And to be brave is to be vulnerable in situations.
Dude, I hate this guy.
And to
All
be
these
brave
guys' heroes' journeys, all their little heroes' journeys that they learned from being men. They're all coming back here to tell us what they learned about bravery and courage and honor in their heroes' journeys. They're all gonna share we're all gonna get their take. I love that. Just let me hear. I just gotta, wake me up when it's Camille again.
Is to be able to be in a room as a smaller gentleman and not feel intimidated. There is no reason that traditional masculinity has to be about the biggest, strongest, most aggressive person in the room, because that's not fundamentally what it's about.
I think in answer to the kind of should we reconceptualize masculinity or
But it is.
what about the association of violence with strength? One of the biggest problems here now is boys not doing sports, or children in general not going out and doing sports. Like one of the greatest things about, I never played rugby myself, but one of the greatest things to think about is that you can go out and be violent and aggressive, and at the end of the game you shake hands. Like that's a real positive message to send out to boys, that you can be both strong, violent, aggressive in a kind of controlled and directed way. What we really need to promote is boys getting outside and running around, kicking about, and throwing balls around or whatever. I think that's like one of the most positive things about masculinity is sports, and that's one thing that's like sorely missing from society now, is the promotion of competitive sport.
The first notion that traditional masculinity isn't about protecting, I think, is absurd. I mean, look at the amount of men that died in wars protecting, our freedom and rebuilding this country that they seem to be completely overlooked. In as far as rebranding or helping men to be caring, I do agree that should men be more nurturing? Is that their choice? Whatever. I went to Sweden. I was so fed up of being told that British dads were crap, because I'm British dad, and that upsets me. And Swedish dads are amazing. And why can't we both be more like Swedish dads? I went there and I spent weeks with a bunch of Swedish dads, and I learned something really fundamental. Society values dads in Sweden. It pays them 80% of their salary for 12 months. It values them, it gives them daddy months, lose it, or use it or lose it. And so men...
What is this guy talking about Sweden?
They were paid, they were valued.
Those guys sold their entire country out just so they could be more inclusive to, Let's talk about, let's do the Battle of the Bulge,
Italian immigrant background, where I saw no examples of male brutality. I saw men working all day long for their families. Like my culture regarded it as scandalous to have for any man to abuse a woman. In the old country, a rapist would end up dead and castrated, hung out to dry the next morning. And I've noticed that too many of the leading feminists, came from disordered family backgrounds where there was a negligent or abusive father, and I don't like the way their personal dramas, from Gloria Steinem down, the way they have projected their psychodrama onto all men everywhere. I think the evidence of history is overwhelming. How men
I'm just recording this for some much-needed objectivity.
have sacrificed their lives for women and children, so a tiny minority who have been abusive. That is the historical record. And it is terrible, that feminist rhetoric, is injecting this animosity against men into young women, who are in this age of social media and a world of alternate reality, have accepted this horror story, of rape culture as the actual fact of the sexual landscape. I reject it completely.
Just to answer the question from the transgender person, what you're asking for, what we've done actually to resolve the question you've asked, and we spent 40 years trying to do this, is we've inverted the pyramid, and we've lost, to mix my metaphors, we've lost 95% of boys and men off the back of the lorry while trying to deal with the minority up at the front. We cannot continue that policy. It is lethal to men. the strength of that violence, the answer to that is in Iron John. I mean, there's a particularly beautiful section by Robert Bly where he talks about the knife, a knife which is used in the ritual in which the wound is conferred on the boy, the wound to match the wound of the woman. And he says that when you don't do that, men find other uses for knives. That's your answer about the difference. There's a difference between strength and violence. The question of a very interesting question about the frugality, the quality of fragility.
I like this guy's cursed mission. He's on to like, because he's coming out with some great like ancient pearls of wisdom. He's on this cursed mission to deliver it to us. To deliver it. To deliver it.
And I really resent that. But unfortunately, we're in this terrible situation where you have to go before courts to plead for your life.
I don't know. Maybe he's right.
And you need, in that way, you need to actually play out this drama, this language of victimhood, because that's the only thing that gets you anything. If you are not, Bob Geldof, talked about this. The idea of don't say you love your children if you're going to a court, but you're competing in an arena which is emotional and in which the mother has all the cards and you're dealing also with the residue of another culture of chivalry, where the judge, usually a male, who is acting Sir Galahad for the woman and punishing the man because that's the way he can act out his manhood, his screwed up manhood. So it's a lot of, but the problem is, you see, there's the law. It's all very well. It's not just about safe spaces. That's all very well in the campuses. There's a little bit of recreational sort of activity. But I'm talking about, for example, family law courts. Since I came here on Friday, I've been in touch with 2 men in Dublin who are suicidal because of the way they've been treated in family courts. I'm not a journalist anymore, but I'm still an amateur counsellor because I deal with all this, because nobody else wants to talk about it and nobody else wants to talk to these men. So we're dealing with life and death issues here. We're not talking about academic, intellectual concepts. We're dealing with real lives. And I've seen a tremendous, unbelievable brutalization of men in the last 20 years since I started getting into this subject. I saw brutalization of myself, but I don't even dwell on that. One day I'll write a book about it. I'm looking forward to actually being diagnosed. See, this is the interesting thing. LGBT people can tell their story. Trans people can tell their story. I can't, as a man, tell my story because I'll be put in jail. But I'll tell you one thing. It isn't. It is not. If I speak about this, I fought for my daughter before a family law court, which is in secret. And if I speak about it in any detail in public, I will be put in jail. Do you understand, sir? If you call yourself sir. Now, but I have one thing I say. One thing I do
Holy
say.
shit.
One thing I do say. I do hope for this. That one day I will be diagnosed with a terminal illness. I will be given 6 months notice of my death. And then I will write the book. And they can sue my dead ass.
Right, I'm gonna take some more.
The stuff you're mentioning is endemic to Western culture, and it's not, in that vacuum, masculinity is not going to go away. So I'd like to see you guys address kind of the warrior instinct that's missing when it comes to active jihad. When the West hears about an active jihad, we're told by our media, you can be sad, but you can't be angry. If you're angry, you're kind of cuckoo, reactionary. So I'd like to hear about the warrior instinct and why that's necessary for the West to preserve itself if you can.
So something that crosses my mind often when you talk about toxic masculinity and propaganda in the media is who started all this? Who started this sudden scare about masculinity? Did one of these, these cultural Marxist, feminazi, liberal cucks sneak into the media and go, hey, you know what? Let's completely change everything. Let's completely change our ideals towards women because I can, because I'm an evil feminist, because I can manipulate people. That didn't happen, did it? And there is still no denial that there are men's problems.
No, it did.
It's bullshit to deny that there are problems with men. It's complete bullshit to deny that men are often victims of rape and don't get acknowledged for that. There are a lot of crimes which men are not acknowledged for, even though they are the victims.
Dude, if there's one thing I want, it's to be acknowledged for rape. No, sorry. I'm going in on this poor girl.
Feminazi cucks. We are standing in solidarity because never have I ever, in my personal experience, men's rights activists.
The whole thing's a joke, don't you see? It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Relationships. Never have I seen a men's rights activist start a petition. This is my personal experience. It might be completely different for any of you. But in mine, I've never seen that. I've just seen these internet men's rights activists complaining.
You based
and
your entire experience of men caring about men's issues on a few idiot MRAs on Reddit forums? Come on.
Well,
Why,
that's
let's-
my
well,
personal
you can come back in a
experience.
minute.
Yours might be completely different.
Hi, I want to come to what Martin said earlier about male role models missing in schools in early life. I think that's not only important to give men a new sense of themselves, but to give all of us a new sense of masculinity. Because these pictures are also like...
You know what's funny? You know why this is such a shit show and why why videos like this teach us so much more than is like advertised is like it's like the fact that like when someone gets up on the mic and starts talking, there's like an agenda to treat them like a person and just treat them equally. You know, like you have to like put aside the fact that well, this is a woman, this is a young girl talking, or this is a woman talking. It's like that's why videos like this go nowhere yet teach us so much.
For us young women, because we've also just been raised by women. And I wonder if we kind of could think about it, because I am a feminist, but I always thought that feminism meant equality, so I'm surprised to learn that this debate that
I am recording this video for some much needed objectivity.
apparently in this country this is not the case. So does the panel think that we have created rape culture by taking man's masculinity away? Like by not teaching them how to be good, brave men, but basically just demonizing them? I'd be interested to hear what you think about that.
Okay, so my question to the panel is, do you think there is more than one form of masculinity in society? And if so, do you see all forms of masculinity as toxic or non-toxic?
Right, I'm going to take the panel back. I also want to ask my own question, which is, of course, women are warriors too now. So how does that fit into the warrior question? Yes.
Let me respond about the feminism question here, which is that there are several strains of feminism. I myself am an equity feminist. I believe that the mission of feminism is to achieve an equality of opportunity for women in the public realm, and that all obstacles to women's advance in the professional political spheres are removed. But not everyone believes that. Okay? Many others believe in special protections for women, and a quota system for women. Okay? So there are many other strands. And the young woman who's saying that somehow we're blaming everything on feminism, I'm afraid you're too young to have experienced, okay, the first phase of feminism, which went off the rails very quickly. Okay? I was part of it right from the start, and the kind of vindictiveness and ostracism and the monomania, okay, of feminist dogma as it took shape. There was a war after war that I fought, defending the Rolling Stone, trying to defend fashion photography and Hollywood and sex symbols and all kinds of things that now are common coin to today's feminists. Okay, there was a period when everything about Charlie's Angels, the Bond girls. I mean, war after war after war. Okay, was fought about the pornography. Okay, the Andrew Dworkin and Catherine McKinnon. They had waged a war against Playboy magazine as calling it hate literature equal to the writings of the Nazis and Klansmen and so on. So I'm sorry, okay, but the present stage of feminism is actually much more open towards sexual issues than it was before. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I want to talk about the warrior instinct, of course, is the most poisonous of all forms of masculinity, if you believe, mankind's kind of attackers. Bringing back to the earlier point, of course, men died for our freedom with this warrior instinct that we despise. And then, of course, when we look to jihadis, we look at them as, well, that's not because they're men. It's not because they're Muslim men or they were poisoned by a faith. It's just because they're men. I think toxic masculinity is a great get-out-of-jail card, but it's blaming men for everything that's terrible about being a man. The whole thing about male role models, the best way I can sort of describe it.
What is toxic masculinity? I actually don't know what that is. Sorry for being like didactic or whatever, but because it seems like a fractal definition to me. Like it's anything that's is it anything that's is it anything that's masculine that's also toxic, or is it anything that's toxic that's also masculine? I don't know. I'm saying, like, which is the bigger umbrella, I guess, is the question I'm asking. I don't think any of this stuff matters. I'm recording this for some much needed objectivity.
To find out the solution to this boy crisis in education, I went around the world looking for solutions, because I like to do that. Rather than blaming men or damning boys, like, well, how can we sort this mess out? There are two schemes. There's one in New York, which is called the Young Men's Initiative. It's an amazing charity set up to recruit directly 1,000 male teachers of colour, because the worst performers in New York are black, impoverished boys who are ultimately over here, the white boys in America are black. It's the same shit, different city. And so what they did, they have directly reached out with President Obama's help, outgoing president, and the mayor of New York to specifically say, they asked these kids, what do you want in the classroom? And they said, people like us. We don't see anybody like us. You know, we see 95% of the teachers being women, most of them being white, and they don't relate to them. They often don't have fathers at home. So we know that there is an incredibly positive role for male role models if we can just get beyond our own kind of prejudice of being able to hire them without that being sexist, because it would be, of course, to hire men. Is there more than one form of masculinity? Well, of course there is. I mean, a gay man is celebrating, I would say, a different kind of masculinity to a heterosexual man. A Muslim man might be a different form of masculinity, but it's only really safe to demonise one form of masculinity, and that's really the heteronormative, white, Caucasian. That's the problem, isn't it? Yeah. All the rest are fine.
So I think, coming back to the young woman, one of the biggest problems men now face are actually meninists. You know, meninists propagate the same kind of crap that feminists do about everyone being vulnerable and everybody needing, you know, a shoulder to cry on. That is now.
Dude, it's always British. The British version of this guy. Oh my god. This guy's Steam account is enormous.
They meninists themselves also go on about this problem.
This guy's Steam account is backlogged with so many great and shitty games he's never played, you know, and is never going to play.
Toxic masculinity.
Give me Camille. Give me Camille. Where's my mom?
I just want to say that the warrior persona is at the heart of my own philosophy of street smart Amazon feminism. That's what I call my movement. And it's based, a lot of it is based, there's a whole chapter in my first book, Sexual Persona, on Edmund Spencer's Fairy Queen, with its women warriors. You have Britomart, who's in an armor, and there's Belphoebe, who's an Amazon warrior. And I feel that there's a lot of wisdom about sexual experience and sexual differences in that poem. It presents the full spectrum of sexual personae. It presents men who veer toward the violent and the brutish, and then the men who are refined in the chivalric style, men who will become noble warriors and are able to balance their emotions. And on the female side of the spectrum, Spencer sees the danger to women as victimhood, as excessive vulnerability. So you have this Florimel character, okay, who's hysterical, okay, and who actually induces attacks of rapists on her, okay, by her persona of helplessness. And this is the model that I'm presenting to women, that women should not be depending any longer, okay, on an authoritarian apparatus of government, okay, or of administrators and campuses and grievance committees and so on. That every woman must take responsibility, okay, for herself and for the environment around her, for dealing with reality, and it's based on my admiration of men.
So for as old as warfare has existed, men and women have fought in war, and they've had success, and guess what? They're working as a team, they're working in partnership. Women have been as equally honourable, as warrior-like, and as brave as men have been throughout times. It's just in very different circumstances. So it seems to me that toxic masculinity is sort of this vogue nonsense term in probably what is just sort of a nonsense framing of the problem, which is gender wars. Can we just call it gender peace? we actually want to get on together, actually work together, and actually look at all
I
these
like this
problems.
guy's
The problems
idea.
aren't
This
actually
guy's got the right idea.
The problems are people who are narcissistic, who
Let's call it gender peace.
abusive power that came from an abusive marriage.
Also, check out Aleister Crowley right there in the crowd. We got Aleister Crowley and his wife over here.
Women are a lot more powerful than we realise. And men are equally a lot more powerful than we realise. And for all the different forms of masculinity there might be, surely one of them is looking at someone like Donald Trump in the eye and saying,
man.
"You're a bit of a tosspot."
Dude, this fucking guy has no idea what to do. Yeah, okay. You want to know what the problem is? I can solve the problem right now. I can solve it all right now. Most people shouldn't be able to vote. You just shouldn't be able to vote. Like, this guy shouldn't be, like, in no universe should this guy be able to vote. You know what I'm saying? Like, he shouldn't be able to. It doesn't make any sense that this guy should be able to vote. Like, it doesn't. If you really break it down, it doesn't make any sense that this guy should be able to vote. It doesn't make any sense. The only people that should be allowed to vote are probably just people. Or, look, at this point I'm just straight up a monarchist. I know maybe that sounds edgy or whatever. Like whatever. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I'm a monarchist at this point, because everyone's just the peasantry is happier as peasantry. They are. I'm sorry. They are. This guy shouldn't be able to vote. This guy should not be able to fucking vote. He just shouldn't be able. He doesn't. Because most people can't understand a grand vision of politics. Honestly, most people can't. And it's like at a certain point you just it's like stop blaming them. Like they just can't. It's not their fault. They just can't. Now, Camille, my mother over here.
I believe that a lot of these problems would be remedied if we could return or actually insert the study of biology into women's studies and gender studies, because there's absolutely no doubt, okay, that there are sexual differences and that hormones, even transgender people injecting themselves with the hormones of the opposite sex, okay, experience physical and emotional and psychological changes, from those hormones. It's not that I'm a biological determinist. I'm not. As I said, I feel I'm between the genders. But we do need liberation from the current cliches, 40 years of cliches, okay, in feminism. I think the young women today who are I consider myself a feminist. I am not in any way anti-feminist. I think there's women need to realize how they've become the victim of a certain kind of propaganda and cliche. Okay, and the more a term like rape culture is used, I think the less we'll ever be able to look at a sexual experience accurately.
I want to make 2 points. One is in relation to this thing of joining forces. I thought so too 20 years ago. I thought that, having come from a left-liberal position, I was an editor of left-liberal magazines. I belonged to all this. I didn't question it. And then when I stumbled upon this injustice towards fathers in the family courts and the things that were arising from that, as it were, I ran back to my former colleagues, my compadres, and said, come quickly, I've just found the most shocking injustice. You'll be very interested. You're going to want to stop this. And what they do, they kick my head in. And they've been kicking my head in ever since. This is not permitted. You are not permitted to talk about these things by feminists. So there's no possibility of joining the forces, in my opinion. The second thing I want to say, I want to go back to, you see, when you suppress real masculinity, true masculinity, something else happens. Like your garden, you don't cultivate your because.
Right, I'd like to think.
No, you heard it here. No, you heard it here last.
Right, well, you heard it from John. Right, I'd like to thank our panel and the audience. Thanks a lot for a good discussion.
Well, a couple more of these debates and we should be good. I would just say maybe about a dozen or so more of these debates, and I think we'll finally start catching on to something here. Just a couple more, just a few dozen more of these, probably just a couple hundred more of these debates, and we'll probably be we'll probably start honing in on something useful. I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, just as long as these issues are talked about. Just as long as we keep talking about it, the problems will probably get better. Now this actually reminds me. Let's check out our friends I've seen over on Twitter. The Whatever Podcast. Now this is I used to like looking at cringe compilations on YouTube. And the great thing about cringe compilations is that I never really cringed watching them. It's just like a circus, and the Whatever Podcast is... This podcast is fascinating. I'm trying to find an actual cast that they have here. Let's see here. What the hell is going on? Get out. Stop. Okay, here we go.
And we are live. Welcome to the Whatever Dating Talk podcast. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. We're coming to you live from Santa Barbara, California, every Sunday and Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific. I am your host, Brian Atlas. I'm joined by my co-host, Kiki. She's a bit shy. We've got a new camera angle, by the way. A few quick announcements before the show begins. This podcast is viewer-supported, heavy YouTube demonetization, so please consider...
I just think, I just have this theory that you only ever really grow up when you stop blaming men for being the way they are and you stop blaming women for being the way they are. Maybe that sounds trite or wholesome, but I just have this theory that that's like the only time you're ever really grown up is when you just stop blaming people for being the way they are. I'm not watching that. Where is it? There was like a crazy one. This is nuts. Where is the Hold up. Let me I gotta go to the entire play. Oh, dude, Destiny.
Welcome to a special debate edition of the Whatever Podcast. I am your host.
Oh, okay.
And we
Hold up.
And
Hold up.
And we are live.
Hold up. Let me try and
We are live. Welcome.
Hold up.
And we are live.
These are all just... It's all just baiting. It's all just like, what? No, it's like, would you date a 4'5" man? Let's talk to these girls and find out. It's what? Would you date a girl that has a kid? Let's talk to these guys. You know what I mean? It's just for people to like get mad over like their own like little thing that, you know what I mean? They're everyone to just get defensive about the thing that they have, like about the thing that makes them who they are. You know, which is great because it's bad. I think it's this one. This was 3 months ago. Whatever. It's whatever. Is that his real name, Brian Atlas? Are you kidding me, dude? That's like dude, he's a Magnolia character. He's a fucking Chuck Palahniuk character. That's so funny. Brian Atlas. Dude, that's a fucking comic book ass name. Anyway. Okay. That's like a character I would write. Like, Brian Atlas. That's a character I would write, dude. Oh, whoops. I didn't mean to do that.
We are live. Welcome to the Whatever Dating Talk podcast. Thank you for tuning in tonight. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're 100,000. Help us get another insane music and that. So it's ridiculous. But maybe.
Someone for me if I needed you to. Not that I'm just gonna ask on a regular day, but you know, if I needed to.
Yeah, this girl.
Be my Clyde.
Okay, so I mean, despite the fact that you consider yourself fairly dominant, you need someone who supersedes you in their dominance. You wouldn't,
Absolutely.
even though you consider yourself perhaps leaning a bit more dominant or masculine, you don't want a feminine guy.
I can't date a female, and no, I don't want a more feminine guy.
Okay.
It's like, okay, that's cute, but like if you start crying in front of me, I'm just gonna like laugh. I really will. Like that's like really weird for me.
Okay, so you need have you thought about dating an MMA fighter maybe? Or
No, listen, because I fucking wrestle them all the time.
you wrestle them?
I would fucking grapple all day long. Like I would wear them out. Like again,
Talking about
I'm
jujitsu?
competitive.
She has the
anything. Like jujitsu's not on my ground.
she has the Pixar. Dude, this is the craziest still image. Every day I go online and I wake up and my throat is sore. And my eyes are all my eyes are all slimed shut. They're all waxed shut. And I'm blinking my eyes open and my throat is all sore. And I go onto Twitter and I check Twitter and I see the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Every day I go online and I see the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And it all and this is just even like this is I think this is just the most normal, average California. Look, she has her phone case is a picture of herself. These are all Grand Theft Auto characters. These are all literally GTA 5 characters. Like that's like half of all influencers, and just like people from like that's like half of all influencers and anyone who lives in LA is just absolutely cartoonish Grand Theft Auto characters.
Like karate, but like anything. Like even in bed, I would literally fuck you until you were doubting your sexuality. Like
Anyway, I'm gonna go out on a limb and just say this woman leads a very uncomfortable life for herself. She just imposes on herself a level of uncomfortability, and just probably can't be alone. Like she's not gonna go. After this podcast, she's not gonna go do something by herself. She's gonna like, she's probably. I just have a feeling she's always gonna be surrounded by other people, and it's not even that. I'm not even going after that. Okay, it's the fact that I'm imagining that her life is very uncomfortable, like despite what it may appear. Like I've pretty much lived like this before. I've pretty much been this girl before. I pretty much am this girl.
ex literally went gay because of it.
I think she just needs somebody to match her energy. Like you're just like
Yeah, but then when they match my energy,
Nah, I think you need someone calm and mellow.
see, exactly. I feel like I've learned this about myself, and until I find someone that I respect enough to be in my life, it's like, no, I'm just gonna be me.
Okay.
Will they be down for all that?
See, that's what I'm saying.
Who be?
Like somebody
Ray.
who's more calm and balanced out.
I feel like it would scare them away.
Yeah.
I think it is very scary. Because
Maybe
like,
they don't want to deal with it.
that's what I'm saying. And you know what? This
Who
actually
wants
just
to?
happened. I had this guy that I was seeing, just not even seeing, it was like we started talking for like 3 weeks. He hit me up at like 3 in the morning when I was in Miami, and he was like, hey, I just Googled you and saw that you did porn, and I don't want this. That was a regular person. And I was like, oh, okay. So I tried, I tried. I also tried someone who did what I did. And I turned them basically gay, so like the fuck.
You turned a guy.
I told you it was my ex. Like I fucked him until he became gay or something. I swear to God.
When you say
Also, I want to point out that like I'm well aware that girls just get paid to like go on the show and make fools of themselves to exaggerate personality, to exaggerate and hyperbolize themselves into cartoonishness so that these guys can like have a show. You know what I mean? Like I feel pretty confident in thinking that's what's going on. Just to point that out anyway.
Asked him, like you mentioned pegging before. Were you pegging him? Or
No,
more
he
like,
wouldn't let me. But
is this like a Death by Snoo Snoo? Do you know that Futurama reference?
mm-mm.
basically just these like Amazon giant, like muscular women just like would crush the pelvis.
Okay, well listen, I'm not trying to hurt anybody.
Okay.
I just fuck you and fuck you, I'm sorry, lay you until, you know, like you're like, oh my god, I have no more.
Yeah, she's got the, look at this, she's got the Pixar thing. She's got the Pixar movements.
What is wrong with this lady? Like, you'll never want to cheat on me.
This is what I'm saying. It's like, see, this reminds me of another tale, actually. Another tale from long ago. If I were to pull up the ancient tale of Claimer is what this reminds me of. This is the male variant of her, okay? Just check out this guy. Just check him out for a minute.
Claimer, and you're in the play, right? How's that going?
Well, it's going cheerfully thus far. I'm not, it's a little soon to tell, but I'm feeling good about it.
What's your role in the play?
I play Elvis.
Tell us about that character.
It's Elvis Presley, the famous 50s, 60s, and 70s person. The singer, songwriter, that sort of thing.
He nailed it.
Now, Claimer, you're famous for your unique way of talking. We were just wondering how you developed this eloquent way of speaking.
Oh my. Well, I'm not entirely sure, actually. It just sort of happened, and I enjoyed it, and I just sort of stopped it.
So at the end of the day, I actually find this woman kind of based. She's totally, absolutely, totally, just has created it's a very calculated and created persona. I just sort of, I really respect when people go really gung-ho with that stuff. When people just go, I'm gonna be the most interesting person alive, you know. I don't think, I mean, look, she just does the Pixar. This is what I'm saying is like, there was a comment under this video I saw one time where it was like, this Claimer.
All right, so
Yeah, see, he's nailing this interview.
You spoke a lot about some of the things you have in your pocket. Would you be willing to show us some of those things?
Well, since you asked so nicely.
Yeah, there's a video, or sorry, there's a comment under this video one time that said, when this guy goes home at night, he's probably exhausted. I feel that way about her. Like, she's exhausted by the time, like, the Pixar thing is you know what I mean? So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Like, anyone who thinks she's, like, brain dead, like, that's the thing. She's not brain dead. She's just absolutely using 100% of her psychic prowess to create a character. So that's why, you know, you shouldn't be scared or angry. You should just feel pity. And that's all I have to say about that.